Welcome to the Living the Dream podcast with Curveball. If you believe, you can achieve. Welcome to the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, a show where I interview guests that teach, motivate, and inspire. Today, I am joined by resilience and leadership coach, Chris Perron. Chris is a Navy veteran, so thank you for your service, Chris. We're going to be talking to him about everything that he's up to and how he, uses his skills that he learned in the military to do what he's doing now. So, Chris, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for your support, and I'm happy to be here.
Why don't you start off by telling everybody a little bit about yourself?
Well, I had the opportunity to, per se, retire at the age of 45, but it's not the end of, work. It's just, if you beat certain social games, is, having the ability to change courses. So what I'm speaking about is if you can have multiple paths. As I used to be a, construction worker, for the Navy outside. I used to do sales. And when I ended up getting married and having a family, when we, got a house, and, there's certain things that your body can only do for so long without proper, maintenance of it. So you got to, take your sabbaticals, take your times, And at this point in time in my life, I had an opportunity after, securing a few things, like I said, such as a beautiful wife, having a kid in a house, be able to be a coach in the community. And at that point in time, for me, that was the major turning point to really give back to the community and to society that I was actually, when I left high school, to protect. So now I have a direct influence, and it really helps me, kind of keep the American dream alive for each and everybody individually.
Okay, well, kind of tell us about your Navy career. Once again, thank you for your service. Tell us what made you want
My
to
Na-
join the Navy.
my Navy career, I absolutely love it. I went in 1996, got out in 2003. I ended up joining the Navy Seabees. That's Seabees. The major difference between us and the Navy SEALs, you hear more of the SEALs, but the Seabees is our claim to fame, being a special forces unit, is building, then fighting. So in 1996, I had, a an opportunity to go to Bosnia. We went to Bosnia to help the issues that were going on in the late millennial, in the late 20th century, I should say, and it's 4 unit. And that was a very eye-opening experience, especially leaving high school and going over into a world conflict. Um, from there, you know, it was every 6 months we deployed. It was pretty fantastic. I mean, it was for 4 years, every 6 months we're in and out. And I traveled the Northern Hemisphere. We went to Africa. We built a clinic. We also raised the foundation of a school for a village. Besides conflict, the Navy Seabees are primarily, like I said, builders. We're here to help people and help develop uh, the community that we want through the infrastructure that is needed. I don't know if that makes any sense. Such as we had this community and we built a clinic. Sometimes the Seabees wouldn't need water well because they would need water more so than the clinic. So we would try to get certain physical attributes and physical, I'll say technology or avenues for technology to the people to become available. So as I traveled from 1996 to 2003, my ending tour was in Operation Iraqi Freedom, and I was a part of a fleet hospital unit. And that all in itself, again, just personal experiences and you know going to conflict for a country under the American dream. It is one of the greatest things I think anybody can do. And also being a Navy Seabee, I had we're one of the very few, special force units that actually serves, hand in hand with females. So that's kind of an oddity, but you know, for a growth, it is amazingly pleasurable later on. Really understand and work with like our counterparts, to build a better tomorrow for, within country and outside of country. So the Seabees are very, very important for general infrastructure building and the supporting of, natural disaster cleanup. Because we usually, if you want to talk about the Seabees, traditionally West Coast, you would see them in California, but we clean up a lot of the hurricanes that happen in the Gulf of Mexico, Katrina and such like that. You would see us because we're close to those areas. Our bases are close to those areas, and we have, great community contact. And this, for me leaving after 2001, after Operation Iraqi Freedom, getting back, to society, I have really tried to reach back out on everything that I've seen and try to give back to the community so we don't have to, kind of deal with certain uh, unfortunate events that happen elsewhere on the planet. So that's right there is kind of like the major thing was to support the country, to develop the American dream, to do what's called of me, to the best of my ability, and bring back if I can make it all the information I can to the people who can make it better tomorrow without having to do the arduous task. So that's kind of what made me go into the service. I only did 7 years, but that was probably the best 7 years, and I'm honorably discharged. Best 7 years I've ever had, most experience I've ever received in my life. Hopefully
Yep.
that answers questions.
Absolutely, and definitely congratulations on that. And you also work with veterans, helping them transition from military life to civilian life. So talk about the work that you do with veterans and helping
Yeah,
them.
yes, yes, yes. So when you take a look at, there's a lot of different languages that are given to jobs that when I went to college, I got out, like I said, I got out and I went to college in my late 30s, early 40s. I got a human services degree, gold stole, kind of proud of that. I've come to realize it's really the dictionaries that kind of cross people up, from when you have the youth, or mainly the youth, when I'm talking, the high schools, and they go into the service and they come out. It is a different language-based community from military to the civilian world. And at that point in time, what I've been doing is trying to take, you know, my knowledge of like I know actions and focus through form. So it's like I'm trying to help with other counselors take, military members' jobs and actions that may not directly correlate to a job outside, but it has the same subconscious underlying features that you want in an employee. Does that, I don't know if that makes any sense. It's like they may be functioning in this, in a security type guard manner, but but they can function outside of that. Even though that they were only security guards, they can actually be amazing store managers because they have great, they can be charismatic versus more stern. It's just kind of like rounding off some of the edges and developing that, that powerful figure within the community where know, they know they're going to get the, fairness from individuals, but also they're going to have, the community trust where, yes, this is the individual that, went to the front lines, but now through some, simple guidance. And as I say, I'm just a coach because it's tough for me to be even just to stay on a good path, but helping people to, showing them a different light to follow the way to where they want to go. And usually it's just by sheer simple linguistics and patience to looking for what you want, you know, because in time or reality based that we live in is all done by time and weights and measures. So essentially, when I talk to people, if they have goals, I want to figure out what their goal is and how much they can actually press themselves to really obtain it. And with veterans, a lot of the people I've, went to college with, it was interesting, like I said, going to college in my late 30s, early 40s. And, speaking, it was a very large age demographic. But, the biggest help I gave to the younger individuals were just making sure that they knew arithmetic and made sure that their bills were paid. And at that point in time, once they were able to slow down, really I helped them work with what they were interested in. I might not have been exactly interested in a particular topic, but I can still bring water to help grow the idea and then bring other people to help them grow the idea because everybody's different. But a lot of the veterans don't get to have the time, or they need a little bit more time to articulate in the words for civilians to understand them. So it's like I'm trying to bridge that gap a little bit because of the fact of why I went to college, why I want to be a social, I'm saying a social activist, but a coach, just another happy inmate on this planet living the dream, and that's where I sit there and I try to, talk to the veterans where they get frustrated because again, even though some veterans go through some stuff and they're correct, there's certain things that civilians have never been, experienced, and that's where they have to take some time and, and we have to kind of do you know, you know, a nice communion together to kind of get to where we need to go, because we all have a job and we all want to do it for a good reason. And it's really the patience between the two parties that really makes it successful, you know. So that's what I try to do is try to help the veterans to, take their time, also not be upset with the civilians and make sure that the civilians try to help the veterans in a manner that they might not be, no, that old term, unpacking your backpack. Same thing with the civilians towards the veterans. They might, need to have a different lens put on their eyes when they look at these particular, individuals within their community. So I try to be that bridge to help the veterans and the civilians kind of get together. Hopefully that answers that.
Yeah. Well, tell us, give the everyday people or other civilians the, best practice tips on, kind of dealing with life's everyday challenges from, maybe a military perspective
Oh,
or, by
best
using some of the military skills that you learned.
best practice tips that I've come by, and now that speak to some people that we have some conversations like, well, what can we, what can we do to make our lives better? Is once you realize that you don't pay anybody to wake up, life is free. Then you have to take a look at why you're in debt, and that will answer a lot of questions for you. So if life is free, time is free, then what are you doing to make the best life for yourself? So as we take a look at our daily task and what we want to do, for now, I'm being a coach and I can only speak about myself. And the first thing I had an opportunity is I wanted to give back. Then they said, okay, you can be a coach. Well, you got to pick up the broom. And that's the next thing I would say. You always got to start with the broom. And if you know how to use the broom, granted, it might be at the bottom, but really nobody's messing with you. It gives you time to figure out what you're doing. So if you wanted to do something, I wanted to coach, I started at the rec level in my community. You have to pay the time, you give back. You're not getting paid anything. You may know it. I may know a lot of things, but I know that there's um, a due price to pay, for your rewards that you truly grant, are truly rewarded. So it's like, you know, the biggest thing is just slowing down, paying attention. Life is only as fast as it needs to be for what you want to put into it. So, like I said, if you don't pay anybody to wake up, life is free. And now manage the time that you have in the most opportune way to, really develop a, self-sustaining life or, a good push to the direction that you want to move in. And that's really, oh, another thing too is since we can't read each other's minds, have faith in your inner self. Don't, there's going to be a lot of words out there where a lot of noise will come to you, but take the time, I say meditation, but really take the time and listen to, you know, it's tough, your internal gut feelings or, intuition, and really just walk slow, stay strong, walk slow, and just be, thoughtful. That's really about it. I mean, the biggest thing is once you know that life is free, don't get in debt. And if you do, make sure it's going to be for a good return, because, at, financing and, investments, there is time, pay to play, but make sure that you take the time before you go in debt. That's the biggest thing I say to people. Don't the old adage of, following fads or the Joneses or the Smiths, just stay true to your name and make sure that, you are the best part of your last name. So just try to be, happy about yourself, while you're going out there. Life is hard. That's why we can't fly. I'm sorry. Life would be a lot easier if we could fly, but since we can't, it's just, picking up the weight and just walking, making it happen.
Let's take a quick break.
Okay, everybody, it's Michael E. Cullen II.
And I'm Sesame and Carta from the All Too Real 2 podcast. We're passionate about movies, TV, and pretty much all things pop culture.
Dive into the chaos of failed sitcoms, direct-to-video sequels, and the quirky realms of cinema and TV.
Join us every Thursday for your dose of All Too Real 2 entertainment.
We'll guide you through debates like whether Howard the Duck qualifies as a superhero.
Ponder if Larry the Cable Guy could be the new Rock or Schwarzenegger.
Discover if some shows and movies should have stayed in the cutting room.
Ever heard of a sitcom featuring that dictator with the funny mustache? Well, we watched it.
We're dedicated to unraveling the peculiarities of pop culture, sometimes with awesome guests.
So, if you're into the eccentric world of pop culture,
listen and subscribe to All Too Real 2.
Available wherever you find podcasts
and on Age of Radio.
Absolutely. What you also are a youth coach, so to tell us about that.
Yeah, that was the biggest experience, because I think a lot of us forget how to be forget what it was like to be a kid. And now being a youth coach, now I'm a few years into it now, and I definitely had some learning lessons on like I graduated with a human services degree, so you have the theoretical systems. That's great, but to actually see the systems in progress as you stay with the youth that you're coaching, which is just phenomenal, it is absolutely just amazing to be a margin of guidance to watch them grow versus like I'm not trying there and they're already willing. I'm now trying to guide them in their own personal bodies, which has been just so fun. Versus, I coached the game of soccer. Can I speak about this for a moment?
Yeah, you sure can.
Excellent. So the game of soccer is, I being a New Englander for all my life, I played it when I was a kid, but I never watched. But now as older, this is kind of like all my life. And when I got to teach the kids, one thing I always tell them is the ball doesn't move. It's always you. And it's the approach. And when and I get to actually set up certain drills where they can actually see that they are developing their own form and their own style, but in the confines of properly playing the game. So you have certain routines, but then you have to, for me as a youth coach, is I've seen a lot of people take personal polishes off of uniqueness. And for me, I've said all the players that I've, for the most part, I have a high percentage returning players, and they're doing it because they know they're doing it for themselves, not me. I set the stage. So as we go through, there's, I have a couple teams in different skill set groups. Some are more rec, some are more competitive. And it's the same exact symmetrical field. It's the same exact symmetrical sphere called a ball, called a soccer ball. It has a numerical dimension. Everything is laid out through weights and measures. And the biggest thing is once I tell them and I kind of, reveal this to them, is it's your power and your finesse that makes the game easier and how you can actually work with your teammates and how you can properly lead. And leading isn't always talking. Actually, the best leading is through action. And a good lead, if has anybody played any type of, team sport, is just getting that, whether the ball, the football, the puck, whatever it may be, just in the right forward moment that your teammate can grab it in stride and do what they got to do next. Because it's really just about a outcome that we all want, which is we would like to win, but really it's the practice of how we can work together and what we're willing to do for ourselves and one another. And the youth group now is really, I mean, I can't honestly tell you that the Saturdays, even over the winter, are packed and the kids want to play and the parents are having a good time. And it's just, you know, let's just enjoy ourselves while we're here and, try to kick a ball into an upright rectangle and keep it as simple and as fun as possible. Because as we grow older, we, whatever, I don't know why the fun gets taken out of life, but I try not to be the person that brings the darkness down to that level. I just try to like give them the most, the highest point to achieve. We have states. We have opportunities to go to the state. And I try to do everything that I have been taught through through my past of my education and serving the government. And I took a look at how, actually, I use the Navy Seabees a lot. How do you get everybody around the world from different demographics to come together and do the impossible? That right there gave me a lot of thought. And I still haven't got it down to a pat, but to be honest with you, what I've got going so far is, I still rely on my CB community just to provide, amazing support for my local community that I live in and the youth. And it has been beneficial. I'm now starting to work in the schools and I'm finding out that I wish our communities were a little bit tighter than expected, But other than that, I will have to say it's nice to have the youth out on the rec community. Also, now that I'm working at a middle school in my town and tying it all together, it's really the youth can really see a long possible, like education isn't something that's not fun or for the majority, it actually has like within our community, and there's a few coaches in town that actually coach in colleges where when we talk to these youth kids who are under, in the middle school and below, that we can have a path as long as you kind of stick within our community, because outside of it, we don't control, but within our community, we can get you all the way up to the doorstep of the possible college, a local college that you want, and that right there is kind of hardly unseen nowadays. So that's where it's like I try to, be that path because I retired per se. I'm a disabled veteran. I went to college. I got a degree. What else do I have left? I have a house. I have a kid. I'm just trying to, and that's where it's like, no, you give back. You teach them that it isn't, cold both ways. Going to school with hills both ways, snowing, yada yada yada. No, it's just you got to take your time, be patient. The work is yours. Make sure nobody, you don't get distracted by other people or other things, I should say. But as long as you concentrate, you are the only you. And if you want that, take a simple step forward and just start looking at simple things that you can do just to build your foundation on where you want to go. And with the youth soccer, it's just year by year, we go over certain things. The expectations never really change because the humans are there. They're all humans. They're all just growing. So it's really just trying to refine your form as a team, and that's it. And as we grow and move together and develop together, they have, uh, within my community, there has definitely been a large bloom of participants that have come out of the woodworks that want to come out there and experience the uh, environment, and that's kind of how I give back. I mean, like I said, so I'm a board member for our local soccer. I'm also a middle school coach and multiple coach out in our rec division in town. Plus I have an application into a college, but that's you know the underlying coaching aspect. It's really not to the sport. It's really to the people who want to press themselves, and then you work, with them. And also being a coach, you kind of help them with school and making sure everything is. So it's like, just trying to be a that positive, northern needle on a social compass. So that's why I try to give back to the youth. You know, Hopefully that answers or goes over the why I want to coach the youth or participate in that particular genre.
Absolutely. So tell us about any upcoming projects that you're working on that we need to be aware of.
Upcoming projects. Well, I mean, I can honestly tell you that whoever listens to this, and this is kind of a free toothpick or whatever from a service member to another service member, another civil person, the biggest thing that I'm trying to work on, especially within my community, is uh, getting a complex or another facility. Playing sports is one thing, but understanding the human body, that mind body continuum together is, I'm trying to get a complex, like a veteran run complex, so that would actually send the body through pretty much every course of pressure to really develop itself. I see a lot of things, and now this is a kind of like a professional, like a little bit outside of the youth conversation. This is like a professional take on what I see with the civilian community. Is there isn't a lot of physical obstacle courses that really, besides like mud runs, but we need locations where the youth can really, and even just veterans, whoever, want to press themselves and get into situations that are not normal, such as, we all play soccer, we all drive, we all do simple things, but we need to do, such as if you never ice skate, you need to start ice skating, you need to start using different muscle groups, because if you don't use muscle groups, then you have different neuropathy that happens to you, and you have certain pathological, developments. It is a long and crazy story to talk about, but no lie. I mean, the mind body is so important. And to be honest with you, I don't know why nowadays, just in general, as I've traveled, is we don't have a lot of interactive complexes. So I have a business plan I'm slowly trying to put up together, about 160,000. It's two buildings, but 160,000 square foot facility that encompasses a full size soccer field, and the other facility we have a few other things such as things that make service members stronger. So there'll be uh, different obstacle courses or pugilist events. The old American Gladiators type thing. I don't know if you remember that game show, but there are certain events, there are certain physical activities that need to be well, if done, will help uh, influence that individual in life and further them down the road, because it builds, if you have physical confidence and you have mental confidence to do certain things, versus I've seen that when everything has become routine, you have a lot of stagnation. So that's one of the bigger things that I'm working on, is actually trying to develop some sort of fun interactive complex, really embracing 2025. I'm a gamer through and through. So I play video games. I have appreciation for esports and all that. So there's a lot of things for a lot of people out there, but there isn't really any major hub that brings in you know, the full body experience plus the recovery time. When I say the recovery time, that's the other end of it. I see a lot of sports facilities have great workout facilities, but now, like I said, from a human services aspect, a lot of blue collar workers or just people in general don't have enough downtime to really uh, relax their body. You know, you can't go to a place and just you have to make an appointment. You have to make a lot of different. It's like a doctor's appointment if you want to get a massage. So you got to take off work at times or take off your weekend. So which it's kind of I find that part of the issue in today's society where people are kind of being burnt out and there's no place to actually just decompress, even for an hour, where you can just go. And that's where I'm looking for something part of that complex to where you can actually have a sabbatical, or I say a sabbatical, but like a little spa treatment, even though maybe most of it will be automated, but it'll be a time and place where people can just go and relax while maybe their kids are playing, doing a soccer routine or they're wall climbing or something like that. So it is twofold in life. So I really do believe that I really do believe that there's a complex needed out there to give you know, a full body experience and a recovery experience, to the local people. So that's my next big on the works. That's my project impossible right there, Mr. Curtis.
Well,
That's
throw out
that's
your contact info so people can keep up with everything that you're up to.
Yeah, no, I'll I and that is one of the items I'll definitely be getting out there because like I said, starting this is new. I am super super nervous because I hate doing something new. I don't want to be seen in the ill light, or I am extremely tentative, and it's like I don't want to be seen wanting, and that's where it's like I'm getting out there and I'm slowly working it. And yes, I'll even put out plans because I've already set stuff up to kind of like, I've already done a lot of the work and I'll definitely put it out there because when you serve your country, you kind of have to know how to swim. You kind of have to know how to climb. You kind of have to know how to throw something and hit something. You kind of have to know how to defend yourself, so that's where you take a look at when I put this together. I'm not trying to build a warrior. I'm just trying to break off the rust, have everybody become a little more fluid. Bruce Lee says must be like water, and absolutely, if you follow what he says, you need to have your, you know, time, space, get into the zone. And that's where we need more, libations only go so far, but really just the community and the teamwork together or being a part of something where other people are doing the same thing, in proximity to you makes just the community that much better and stronger. So that's my biggest goal on that. And I'll definitely get my information. I don't have anything right now. I have I don't know if you want a Twitter handle or anything like that, but I do have
Yeah,
that would be
throw it out.
so let's see here. I forget which one you're supposed to put it. I think he's supposed to be at.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
So hang on a second. Let me get my all right. It's gonna be at 777 dot Chris dot Perron. So that's 777 dot Chris dot Perron, and that's at TikTok. Now it's just a simple
Twitter.
little thing that has me with a boonie hat on there, but that is my first kind of like attempt at trying to put something together as a older, person in the community. Because I have an Instagram, I have a Facebook, we've been around since the beginning of that stuff. But that TikTok, I'm trying to be a simple little hub of where you can go. You don't even have to see me. I put up information up there, just simple little snippets that I find interesting that may help other people if they read it in the same context or even a different context. So it's just trying to understand, okay, if we're here, what are we doing here and how can we help each other together? And I know that working together makes the job go, job usually easier and go by faster. So that's where, from my experience, I'm really trying to take the second half of this level of life and trying to spin it. I've been a part of the teammate. I know how a teammate works, and now it's just everybody else. It's just let's go. So as we
Absolutely.
take a look at this, again, it's just, I come up, I see certain things. I used to have I used to have 30 libraries for a year. It was almost like a bread route. And I curried for 30 libraries. And that was probably the greatest experience I've ever had in my entire life. But it was a sad experience. And here's how I take a look at time. Because being in New England, as I went around to these ancient libraries that pretty much were set up since the dawn of America, you know, they're throwing, I say that they're getting rid of older books, right? Old books, old books, and they're just replacing them with the new, and that's where it's like fascinating. Even though they were, the librarians, amazing people, absolutely amazing people, they're chucking our past out and implementing, what is desired to be in there. And that's where I was like, wow. And I ended up acquiring an amazing library, personal library, throughout that time. And that's where it's like, no, I need to, want to go out there and reach the people and just be a coach. Because again, I can't say I'm a master of anything because I'm still figuring this out. I'm just like a compass. And that's where it's like taking your time, research what you want. And I'm pretty sure you're going to get it. That is, the unfortunate part is, there'll be times where even society will burn its own libraries. It's crazy like that, but it has to happen. I don't know if that makes any sense. But if you pay attention and you remember, which is, your institutional memory, everybody is their own timeline. So it's like, using the Finding Nemo thing, that how old do sea turtles live? They live 300 years old because they don't really work. They understand that if you ride on the wave, or you ride on the wave, or you ride on the flow, you can go for a long time. So even though things change, there's universal laws that don't. The planet doesn't change, the world does. And as long as you can keep manifesting with the times, you'll be all right. I don't know if that that's part of like a in combination of everything right there. Finding the complex, putting the complex together, and getting the community together, and still working with the youth, and still working with the people trying to make their day better.
Right. And let's go ahead and wrap it up there. Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Perron, make sure you check him out on Twitter. Keep up with everything that he's up to. If you know any veterans or, service members that are currently serving that can benefit from what he's doing and everything that he's got going on, share this episode to him. Jump on your favorite podcast app, follow us, leave us a review. If you have any guest or suggestion topics, Curtis Jackson 1978 at att.net is the place to send them. Thank you for listening and supporting the show. And once again, Chris, thank you for your service. Thank you for all that you do. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you for your support, and thank you for having me on. You have a wonderful weekend.
For more information on the Living the Dream podcast, visit www.djcurveball.com. Until next time, stay focused on living the dream.